Hello and welcome back to the Go for Two podcast. I'm a very sad and tired host, Liam, and I'm joined by my co-host, who's also very sad and tired after our return from the US, of course, Mr. Muggs NFL, Patrick. How you doing, mate? What are we, 24 hours probably since you've returned to your actual home-ish?
I'm all right. I'm a bit poorer, as you've seen from my shopping, but overall, I'm feeling okay today. I've been back to work, pretending to work, so it's all good, isn't it? It's nearly the weekend.
You chose well to come back on a Thursday, to be fair to you. You've only got 48 hours you've got to cope with, which is good.
Yeah.
But yeah, we had a fun week 3 for us personally and the NFL. We're recording today on Thursday before Thursday night football, so we're not going to go into too many details. Everyone's probably listened to 10 podcasts on week 3, so we are going to do the usual week 4 preview episode. And next week's as well, I'm away, so we'll probably be recording this episode on the Friday, and that'll be a week 5 preview episode where we'll talk a bit about Thursday night football and do week 5. So there won't be a review pod either, just with how kind of time away has been scheduled. And before we get into previewing week 4, we're not going to do anything big deep dives, mate, on week 3, but we went to a game. We went to a guy's first start in a new stadium and his last start in the new stadium. So I'm the biased one. So tell everyone how you felt watching Russell Wilson and going to MetLife Stadium for the first time.
Yeah, I'm a bit sad about Russ, to be honest with you. After going 450 the previous week, I felt like he was perhaps stitched up with a few play calls along the way. We had a few chuckles about the couple of quarterback draws that were called for Russell Wilson, even though he's like mid-30s now. And you've got a speedy young QB. Maybe you save those for down the road. But overall, it was a bit of a sad experience for taking any Eagles bias out, and obviously you was there for the Chiefs, and I felt like the Chiefs were always going to win. But the Giants situation feels a little bit sadder when you're in the stadium and everybody's furious after the first quarter, and just the lack of hope in it. But Jackson Dart is your hope, I guess. But it was great to see Cam Scatterboo, by the way. I obviously been building him up for a while, and he had his best game, didn't he, as a pro? So he looks pretty difficult to bring down.
Yeah, he got you off your seat clapping, cheering for him. So that's a good sign for an Eagles fan in a Giant stadium. But yeah, you're right. I haven't watched the game back, so I don't know if this came through, but the boos were pretty loud in person. There was a lot of we want Dart, and then the main ones as well. I probably can't count on 20 hands how many times we heard the phrase, "Come on, Daboll, what are you doing, Daboll?" in strong New York accent. So it feels like they made the right call going with Dart, and probably a call that I'm not saying it'll save his job, but it was almost like, don't do this and be first coach fired, definitely. Or do this and hope Dart looks good and you're not the first coach fired. It feels like this is a decision to save Daboll's job as much as it was to get the Giants playing better.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's thrown straight in with one of the best defenses in football this week again, back at MetLife with the Chargers. With Jesse Minter, I'm sure he's going to pose a challenge straight away for Jackson Dart. But they've kind of just been looking for some hope and progress now inside of the organization. However, Brian Daboll needs to win some games. We have been speaking about this for a couple of years, and it feels like, having now been there, it's different from the second quarter onwards, it's fire Daboll chanting from the crowd. So, he knows he has to turn that around. So it's just, Russ is out and Jackson Dart's in. And I can't see it going back unless Dart gets injured.
Yeah, they'll probably go to Jameis if it went to anyone, to be honest. Again, but you're right. In case, if he gets injured. And he might get injured, he does take a lot of shots. He runs the ball quite a lot. He's quite a risky player, so that might happen. But it feels like they might just go back to Jameis in that case. But yeah, you're right. Being there was a bit different. And also around the city as well. How many Giants fans did we see around the city, or big Giants people? Do you know what I mean? We saw quite a few Mets fans. We saw Jets fans. We saw other NFL fans. But it didn't feel like there was a lot of there wasn't much vibes going around that team either. So it feels like it's a big move for the franchise to hopefully find a guy, right? Because if they don't, things were quite bleak, I'd say, from a fan's perspective when we were there.
Considering it was opening home week, I know they played 2 games on the road previously, but when we arrived to the stadium, it was hardly like a buzz, was it? No. Of, maybe the way that MetLife is set up and the tailgating is a little way, but it didn't feel like a buzz. I can understand that, though, from the fans' perspective, and hopefully for them, next year they kind of get a clean slate with Dart and probably a new GM and a new head coach.
Yeah, probably. Any other NFL related highlights of the trip? I think seeing a Randy Moss Vikings jersey was a pretty cool one for me.
Yeah, I mean, didn't actually spend any money on any NFL merchandise, which is incredibly rare for me, as you've now seen me in action. It was actually very rare for me. But yeah, we went to a bar, didn't we, for the Sunday games, and there was some happiness and a bit of disappointment on your face when the Eagles won at the end.
Yeah, I was fuming about that. The Rams should have won that game. But what cheered me up was the fact we had a table of Eagles fans that left at half time.
Yes, so true.
And then they missed the comeback and the best the offense has looked all season. So that was quite fun. But we were surrounded by Vikings fans, Jets fans. So there was a lot of liveliness, even though there was some sad fans at the end in terms of the Jets. Getting to see a few blocked field goals and a million turnovers was pretty good. So yeah, and we saw some nice jerseys, to be fair. Some nice jerseys. We even saw a Russell Wilson Seattle jersey and a Saquon Barkley Eagles jersey in MetLife, which I was surprised about. But they were two highlights, I think, for me. Cool. Let's move away from us just talking about ourselves and our incredible trip and go on to week 4 in a second. But week 3, we did pick every game against the spread, and we had our worst week of this season and what would have been our worst combined week of last season as well. 6 to Patrick taking the dub in week 3. The games that were the difference were the Eagles game that we just spoke about, the Bengals game for me, whereas Patrick was very confident in Jake Browning, but confidence was not valid in that one. The Cardinals game was one that swung it, and then the Lions game managed to claw me back a point in the week. So yeah, we had some pretty bad scores between us as well. We both picked the Falcons to cover the spread, both picked the Packers to cover the spread. We both picked the Cowboys to cover the spread. All of those things didn't go well for us, but it's 25-22 to me for the season. So I'm 3 points up, and we're on to week 4, and we're going to start week 4 on Thursday Night Football with an NFC West showdown. We've got the Seahawks at the Cardinals. The spread on the road for the Seahawks is -1. They're -1.5. They're favored. Again, most people listen to this on Friday, so we're not gonna deep dive. You won last week, mate, so it means I have to pick first. So I'm gonna pick the Seahawks -1.5. I think the offense looks pretty good, and the line looks as good as we all thought it would be. Mike McDonald seems to be a very good coach. So yeah, I think this could be quite close, but it's Thursday night. But yeah, I think the Seahawks running game and explosive pass game's been pretty good. So I'll go with Seattle -1.5.
Yeah, I'm going to join you on that. Obviously, it's a fairly important game with them both at 2-1, and 3-1's a hell of a lot different than 2-2, isn't it? So, yeah, Saints, obviously in the Saints game, Seahawks look pretty high-powered offense. No, it is the Saints, but you'll take that. They look better, fared better against New Orleans and Arizona, certainly did a couple of weeks back. So I'm happy with Seattle, and yeah, it's a good game. The other 2 NFC West teams are on next week's Thursday Night Football as well. It's quite a nice quirk 2 weeks in a row.
Definitely, unless you're probably a UK fan of one of those teams on a Thursday night. But yeah, I'm hoping this game could have some fireworks for us to get up Friday morning and watch. Let's go on to Sunday then. As always, we're not going to spend loads of time on every game, so we've got a few key games to pick out, but we are going to go in time order still for this first one. And we're off to Dublin for Vikings at Steelers. Carson Wentz versus Aaron Rodgers. Could have been a good game 6 years ago from a quarterback matchup. But yeah, this game will be, full of a buzz. Sounds like there's a lot going on in the city. All the Irish people on my timeline are really, looking forward to this. And it sounds like the Vikings are kind of taking over the city early, and then we're expecting a lot of Steelers fans to fly over for the game from America as well. So it should be a good game. The Vikings are favored on the road, but they're both on the road by 2.5 points. So because it's a neutral field, Vegas thinks the Vikings are 2.5 points better than the Steelers, but that is with Carson Wentz. So it'd be interesting to see what the line would be if it was JJ McCarthy. Vikings looked great last week, mate, but a lot of that was turnovers, kind of getting the game out of hand. How do you think this game might look come Sunday morning?
Yeah, it's very interesting, that spread, to be honest with you. I wasn't quite sure what you were going to read out, but obviously, heavy win, like you just said, really turnover based, and Carson Wentz looked fine. You can only judge early on before the game got out of hand, can't you? But I'm sure Vikings fans are robust, to be honest with you, with that performance, and you can kind of take that forward until maybe McCarthy is ready, or they feel he's ready and needed to come back. Interesting. Great game. I think Dublin, a lot of people that I follow are already kind of going over there. It looks a good do. Having been over there for college football, I know it'll be a great atmosphere. Game could look ugly on offense. Obviously, the Vikings defense under Brian Flores is very good. Steelers offense is still it looked ugly against the Patriots, didn't it? Could be quite a low scoring game, this one. I don't know whether I kind of like Pittsburgh in this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, total's the lowest of the week as well, by the way. 40,
Yeah, it doesn't surprise me.
40 points as well, which is
Wow, for that, yeah, that is low.
So the Titans game was 39.5. That's moved up to 40, so they're both 40 now, 40.5. But yeah, that is the lowest by 3 points for the whole season as well. So that is a low bar. I think you're right about the offenses might look a bit ugly, but also these defenses. Steelers have played a bit better through 3 weeks than they did last season, but both of them forced turnovers. They're both very aggressive at blitzing. And that might make the game even uglier on offense, if you know what I mean. But maybe fun for the fans because they might get sacks, picks, pick six, fumbles. So that could make the game fun for people going. But yeah, I'm not sure we're going to see too much in terms of efficiency on offense. I think what Aaron Rodgers said was right last week, that if they want any hope of like the playoffs, then which they do, they want to make the playoffs. He's got to play better. The run game's got to be better because the defense can't bail them out every single week. But they'll definitely try their best to bail them out against Carson Wentz. Should we pick the spread? Should you to go first?
I'm going to go Pittsburgh plus.
Yeah, I think that is probably the smart thing to do, to be honest. But we're not here to be smart. Sometimes we're here to have fun. So I'm going to go for Vikings. Carson Wentz on the road in Dublin, getting a big win. Wearing all camo sleeve, hopefully. An Irish coloured camo sleeve would be quite nice for Carson Wentz in this game. But yeah, I'm going to go for the Vikings. I just think the defense might cause Rodgers loads of problems. They get around the quarterback, they hit you a lot, and I don't think Aaron Rodgers wants to be hit at this stage. On to the big game then in the 6 p.m. window. Eagles at Bucks. Eagles are favored on the road by 3.5 points, so more than a field goal. And I believe it's going to be super hot, right? You told me when we were away that aren't the fans talking about this game's like going to be over 100 degrees Fahrenheit?
Yeah, 105 today. It's gone up from 103 to 105, which is as a player and a fan, by the way, they're tough conditions.
Yeah. Again, this game might look ugly because of that, right? It feels like the teams should have their legs under them now in week 4, but still, yeah, that's not the greatest conditions. What team do we expect to see from these two then in this game? We've got the Eagles, who defense looks pretty good in this game in the second half. In the first half, they didn't look very good. The offense had its best half of the season. Are we going to get a more pass-heavy, aggressive offense, or do you think that was only because they were down 19 points?
In this weather and the conditions, it kind of leads to starting run heavy with a kind of rotational, but then getting the defense like super tight defensive line, but that also works for your offensive line, right? So I'd expect Philadelphia to pass it a little more than they did in weeks 1 and 2. However, I am quite worried flipping over the other side. The Eagles have all of a sudden got an incredible amount of injuries that weren't announced after the game. That Nolan Smith is on IR and Zach Bourne and Jihad Campbell haven't practiced because they've got their tricep and knee injuries. Without them, Baker Mayfield is going to have a lot of fun in the middle of the field all day, I think, even without kind of Mike Evans there, because Egbuka just looks incredible, doesn't he? So for me, it's a run game early, maybe for both teams, tire out, because once those legs are tired, 105 degrees, just getting hydrated is like a task in itself at that when players are cramping and whatnot. So I think the Bucs have got the advantage in this game, to be honest. I'm quite surprised that hasn't shown in the spread a little bit more.
Yeah, they've obviously had a good record as well, against Jalen Hurts. Todd Bowles seems to play that type of offense pretty well. But I think you're right, they are probably going to have to pass the ball a bit more than they have in the weather to get some bigger plays. And then maybe in the second half, if they've got a lead, they can run it and slow the game down a bit. But you're right, they're probably going to want to go a bit faster this game. Both teams have got injuries as well, because the Bucs are going to be out 2 with their offensive line. Mike Evans got the hamstring. Sounds like Tristan Wirfs might play and Godwin might play. But yeah, I'd rather a fit Gadecki and Mike Evans that I know are healthy rather than 2 people coming back and relying on them. So I think this game could be a bit ugly at times with the weather and with all the injuries. Doesn't mean it'd be low scoring. It could be ugly and 35-32, but I feel like we could see some blown coverages and some issues on the offensive line probably for both teams. I don't even know who needs to win this game either, to be honest. I feel like 1 seed wise, they're both going to be chasing it. They're both 3-0. I feel like whoever loses this game, as long as they're not completely blown out, I don't think there's anything that either side are going to come out and be worried about, if you know what I mean. I think they'll just say, well, it was a schedule loss because of injuries. You know, we're 3-1. We both go into week 5 in a great position.
Yeah, I completely agree with you in that. And both divisions, by the way, feel very, very attainable for both teams. Washington's still looking pretty good, but feels really attainable, like the opening goals for both teams. So yeah, no, I totally agree with you that. It's almost kind of a shame, really, that obviously it's still a big game, but it feels like if you lose it, it's okay. Both teams would have likely have taken 3-1 at the start of the season.
Yeah, agreed, 100%. And then you've still got time to book a flight back over to go enjoy some sun. So yeah,
It's a bit warm for me, that. Yeah.
that is a bit warm. Cool. It's me to pick first. So Eagles -3.5. I think I picked against the Eagles every week, so it's just a running theme on the pod. I think until the Eagles go like 16-0 against the spread or something. So I'll go for Bucks +3.5. They're obviously at home. They could lose the game by a field goal. I think the game could be quite close, and I would still cover. So yeah, I'll go Bucks +3.5.
Yeah, I'm going to do the same. I think the Eagles might win by a field goal, or it could be a flip round. I think it'll be a very close game. But Bucks have had 3 game-winning drives, haven't they? So we'll see about that this week.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, in the final minute as well, wasn't it? I think the stat goes. So I think that's that makes interesting storyline. They'll be the lucky team or the great team, depending on how this game goes. Cool. To the next few games, then these are ones we're going to rattle through, especially the first one. Saints at Bill. The spread here is Bills -16.
Whoa!
Which is the biggest spread of the week, obviously, and is the biggest spread of the season by some. I think 13.5 was the biggest.
I can't remember a spread that big since we've been doing the pod.
There has been some big ones. We've had some 18s, 19s, but not for a while. They're normally at the start of the season, to be honest, when things are a bit haywire. But yeah, Bills -16. It is you to go first.
I'm going to go Bills because I haven't had any luck this year in backing the underdogs. So I'm going to go Bills. Feel like we don't know how good the Bills are, and we're not going to find out this week either. But I'm sure they'd like to put up a lot of points and show the high-powered offense out. So yeah, I'll go Bills. I mean, I feel like I need to.
Yeah, I mentioned this in the Dolphins game last week, which didn't prove to be true score-wise, but the Bills tend to be great against bad teams. They're very good against the spread against bad teams. They're not so good against the top teams, and Saints definitely not a top team. So I'm going to go Bills -16 as well. Spencer Rattler, 9 losses in a row now in his career. This could be 0-10. Only 2 quarterbacks have ever gone 0-15 or worse. The 0-15 is the worst anyone's ever gone before they don't play again. So this could be 0-10, it feels like, for Spencer Rattler. On to MetLife again for a big game for Jackson Dart. We've got the Chargers at the Giants. The Chargers are favored by 6.5 points. So they're actually favored by more than the Chiefs, but they are playing against a different quarterback. I think it's me to go first in this one. I actually really like Jackson Dart coming out. I had him ranked way higher in our preseason draft shows with Lee than anyone else did. But I think Jesse Minter is probably not the right man to go against in your first start. I think he'll look better. I think the first half will be more energized. The crowd will be well up for it. But I think Justin Herbert's probably too good. So I'm going to go for Chargers -6.5. But I think the offense may look more capable in this game. But I do think the Chargers run game could get going against the Giants and cause them some problems because the Chiefs ran it quite well at times on first down, and they didn't really want to run or even continue to try it. Whereas the Chargers, if they run it well, they'll keep doing it. So I'll go Chargers.
Yeah, I'm definitely going Chargers. What's interesting is taking the spread out of it is they're in uncharted territory, this team and this kind of era of the team. Obviously, not just with Harbaugh, but they're out in front in the division early and staying ahead. It's actually really difficult when you have a team like the Chiefs chasing behind you, but so important that the Chargers, having got a lead and a tiebreaker at the moment, that they can continue to stay ahead, win these games on the schedule that people like me and you look at and go, tick, that's a win for the Chargers. So you just have to keep going in those games. So in theory, it still feels like a really big game for them. So I'm going to go them on the spread as well. Yeah, let's see. Justin Herbert MVP through 3 weeks, maybe?
Maybe, yeah. I don't know him or Daniel Jones. So what does that say about it? Maybe, but yeah, I don't know. Definitely not Russell Wilson. So we'll see how Jackson goes in that game. On to Detroit then. A huge win for them in week 3 against the Ravens. They're facing another North team. They're going Browns at Lions, and the spread is -8.5 for the Lions. So they are favored by some margin. similar to the Packers last week against the Browns. Browns defense looks pretty legit, but the offense does not look legit. Where are you going with the Lions -8.5?
Yeah, starting to think that week one was a bit of an aberration, and they just didn't turn up. And I don't think the gap between Green Bay and Detroit is anything anywhere near that at all, to be honest with you. I'm going to go Detroit in this. I think they'll put another statement down like they did Monday night. So I'm going to go Detroit, and run game looks awesome again.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, I'm going to go for Detroit. A run game looks good. Sam Laporta, by the way, looks pretty good as well. He hasn't looked great for a few months last year because of his leg injury. So, yeah, I'll go for Lions -8.5. Feels like the offense is going to be a bit too much for the Browns. But I think the Browns defense will keep them tight in games. But it seems to be the same as 2 years ago. When they're at home, the defense is crazy. When they're away, the defense is very good, but not enough to cover spreads like this one. So I'll go for the Lions. And next game, Panthers at Patriots, two teams that maybe thought they were going to be better than they have shown to be through 3 weeks. Patriots are favored at home by 5.5. It's a big spread for the Patriots and for Drake May. Panthers coming off a crazy win last week. We couldn't believe it that this game wasn't on any of the TVs in the bar we were at. And when we saw that it was like 30-0, we were quite surprised. Sounds like Penix is going to keep his place. He's going to start for them in this game. It's me to pick first. I feel like this is definitely the hardest spread so far. I'm not sure the Panthers, the Patriots are good enough to be 5.5 against anyone, but I picked them to make the playoffs. That's just a terrible pick right now. Let's go Panther. I feel like you're just going to go whichever other side on this one. So I'll go Panthers +5.5. Take the
No, begging for you to go New England. I can't back. Having seen that through 3 weeks, that really disappointing, to be honest, through 3 weeks. They looked turgid again on offense last week, didn't we, from what we saw? You have to give me Carolina. Carolina, by the way, got a chance of going to 2-2 in 4 weeks.
Yeah, true. Very true. After saying they're the worst team in football again.
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're right. I think with New England, we need to see something a bit better. Hopefully Henderson plays now because they've got no reason not to play him, but we'll see. On to the AFC South then. This spread is big, but probably would have been bigger if it wasn't for one of these two teams started the season. We have the Titans at the Texans. The Titans who maybe have the worst head coach in the NFL right now. And Texans are favored at home by 6.5. The 0-3 Texans, 6.5 at home. Offensive lines look pretty poor. Defense hasn't been great, but some of that might be because of the offense. And they've just cut CJ Gardner-Johnson, who seems to never really last on a team more than 1 year. So yeah, there's some rumors, there's some issues in the defensive room, and maybe Ryan's thought it was because of him. And the offense has obviously been terrible through 3 weeks. So yeah, this is a weird game. But I do feel like if the Texans lose this game, I'm not saying D'Amico would get fired. He wouldn't. But it would be a pretty damning kind of story for the Texans and how their roster build throughout the summer's gone if they lose to the Titans team who I was wrong on. Like, the offensive line on paper should have been good, but every week the whole team looks pretty rough under Callahan.
Yeah, it does look rough. He's going to get fired, I think, by a drastic turnaround in play for Tennessee. He's for sure going to get fired. Maybe even wreck my Brian Daboll first coach fired prediction. Yeah, he looks terrible, to be honest. And I think I've backed them a couple of times on the bigger spreads and just, yeah, it's not even come close. As far as Houston go, though, with the most disappointing team in football, seems obvious to say at 0-3. Jags obviously lost to the Jags. Jags sitting at 2-1. Quite tricky schedule coming up. They'll be more than happy to see Houston. There's definitely not two playoff teams coming from this division, I don't think. Obviously, we've got the Colts, haven't we, at 3-0, but I just can't see two playoff teams coming out of this division. But is it me to go first?
It's you to go first, yeah.
I see, how can you pick Houston? They look absolutely awful, but Tennessee have let me down too many times already this season to go for Houston. But I'd love to see Cam Ward have a good game in this, but it's difficult with that offensive line.
Yeah, I'm going to go the same, play it safe, go Texans as well. -6.5 is a must-win for them. I'm still believing in two playoff teams from the South. It's just going to be two different teams. However, it looks like I was wrong on the AFC West. Or I hope I'm wrong anyway, because I said only one team. So I hope it's two teams, but maybe I got the wrong team. But yeah, it feels like if the Texans want any chance of having some run at a 7 seed, they have to win this game. So yeah, I'll go for the Texans as well. And then last but not least in this window, not put this at the end because again, not sure he's going to play quarterback, but Commanders at Falcons. We've got Commanders favored on the road by 2.5. As I mentioned earlier, we've got Michael Penix probably playing again, not Kirk Cousins. It feels like we've got Jaden Daniels because he has practiced in limited fashion, but he said it's up to the doctors if they play him or not. So I think I'm not sure if they're just playing chicken with that. the line indicates that Jaden Daniels is playing because the fact they're 2.5 points on the road. What's your thoughts on this one, mate? Obviously, we didn't watch any of the Falcons game, so I can't comment on why it was so bad. They were bad. I've read reports that it was the offense was really just completely inept, and then it meant the defense had too many issues and short fields and drives to contend with. But it feels like this is a pretty big game for the Falcons rather than the Commanders. Because Commanders played pretty well last week under Mariota.
I mean, I've been back and I've watched some highlights of that game, and some of those throws from Michael Penix were just absolutely the worst that you'll see from a starting quarterback in the NFL, to be honest with you, especially from the kind of the hope that he would have given them in the draft position from last year. And he played okay, didn't he, at times when he came in relief for Cousins last season. So that was worrying. It's been a worrying start to the season, to be honest with you, from obviously Drake London. He's not the only marquee receiver that's quiet in the league. He is, but he's not looking great. Offensive line doesn't look great. Obviously, Bijan looks incredible, but it feels wasted at the moment. So it's a strange place to be. If I'm Washington, I would roll this week with Mariota because I think that you can go in there and win and not have to risk Jaden Daniels again and just get him healthier. They've already got a winning record, haven't they? So they're sat in a nice spot. So feels to me like give it another week with Mariota. He's a accomplished backup in the league. He's been in the NFL for 10 years. Feel like he could go on the road to Atlanta versus Michael Penix and get a win.
Atlanta as well, who he walked out on / was made to get rid of during that quarterback season as well. So it could be a bit of a rivalry game for him. But yeah, I wouldn't risk if there's any risk of re-injury at all, to be honest. But yeah, we'll see what they go with. The run games looks pretty good as well. I know Bill is injured as well. So yeah, it could be Jeremy McNichols' day, which is great for fantasy football. But yeah, I'm with you. I would do that if there's any risk of re-injury, but we won't know until nearer to game time. But yeah, this is a big game for the Falcons. Penix has to look better in this game because you told me that record he's got, isn't he? He's not won a game when the other team scored 7 points. Is that right?
Yeah, when the opposing team scores 7 or more points, he's 0-4, which is not good, isn't it?
It's not good. I found out I think there's other games where that's happened in overtime and he's won, but in terms of regular time, then yeah, you're right, which is mental. I think it's me to go first here. Commanders -2.5. I'm going to go Commanders -2.5. I'm not sure I believe in the Falcons, and I actually think, even though I would probably rest him, I actually think Daniels may play. So I'm going to go them -2.5.
Yeah, I'm going Washington as well. I think they're a little better than perhaps I thought they were going to be this season. They look pretty good without kind of being world beaten so far, which is absolutely fine for this stage of the season.
Yeah, and they've had some bad injury luck as well already, so that might start to turn towards the end of the season, they hope. Cool. On to the 9 p.m. games then. We'll go through the two we'll spend less time on first. So we've got Bears at Raiders. Bears are favored on the road. After a weird start to the season, they're favored on the road by 1.5 points. Clearly, people believing in Ben Johnson and Caleb after a big Week 3 win against the Cowboys. Or maybe they just don't believe in the Raiders, who do look dysfunctional again, despite the Pete Carroll and Geno love that many of us were giving them this offseason. You get to pick first on this one, mate. Where are you going?
Don't hold me to this, but this could be quite a fun game, right? You're not going to need to worry because obviously we've got Chiefs-Ravens at the same time, so don't worry about your entertainment factor. But this could be a decent game. I just wish the Raiders looked better, to be honest with you. Week 1 gave me a little hope. I just wish there would be a bit more fun in the division. I thought they were going to look fun, but the weeks 2 and 3 has not looked good. I'm going to go the Raiders on the spread this week. Each week now we're going to kind of look at that run blocking and run win rate for the Raiders and hope that Ashton Jeanty is, because that stat still stands what I said in week 1. He has as many yards after contact as he does yards at the moment. So in week 3, he's not good. So good luck to him.
Yeah, we were on some form of public transport and I showed you the image of the offensive line where he's trying to run up the middle and there's just 3 of the other team, which I think was the Commanders, all around him, and there's no offensive lineman there. And it was just like, yeah, I think this is the problem for the offense. But yeah, did you say you've gone for Raiders +1.5? Yeah, I think I'm going to have to join you as a Geno fan, to be honest. We'll see. I need to see another week of Caleb and Ben Johnson getting it done on offense to believe in the Bears a bit. I think I'm a bit stung from weeks 1 and 2. Maybe the Lions are just incredible, but yeah, I'm not sure. But I'll go Raiders as well. But yeah, they just seem a bit dysfunctional at the moment. But we'll see how this game goes. On to San Francisco then. We've got my Jags at the 49ers. I'm not sure. This could be Brock Purdy. Sounds like potentially could be back. We'll see. Niners 3-0, and they are 3.5 points favored. They've lost Nick Bosa, so we didn't mention in the open for the season with an ACL. I think they've got Demarcus Robinson back from the suspension. Juwan Jennings might play. George Kittle's still out. So they're still a little bit all over the place, mate, with injuries. But it sounds like Brock Purdy may play. The Jags should be 3-0 if they haven't thrown that stupid game to the Bengals, but I don't think they've looked overly convincing in any game. So it feels like this is a bit of a weird game, where I think watching it, if you are a neutral or one of these fans, I'm not quite sure what you're going to see, to be honest. I think you could see some pretty weird drives from these two teams.
Oh, yeah. For me, if I'm Jacksonville, I'm looking at this as a perfect opportunity to go over on the road on the West Coast and actually win this game. Get to 3-1, Hope the Colts drop one and you're kind of right there in the division. It feels a big chance. It's just whether kind of Trevor Lawrence and the offense can take that opportunity. Obviously, they ground out low-scoring win against Houston. I think they have to play a little bit better to beat the 49ers, who were injury hit, but still winning games.
Yeah, they are. Matt Jones looks pretty good, by the way, in those games with them. So maybe that's what they should have drafted all those times ago. Yeah, we'll see. For this game, I'm going to go with... God, I pick the Jags every week. It doesn't feel like I should pick the Jags every week, does it? I'll go Jags plus 3.5. I'm not sure they're going to get much pressure on Trevor Lawrence, and in theory, the offense should be better. So I'll go Jags plus 3.5.
Yeah, I'll go 49ers, just to be different, but I'd love to see the Jags come in here, win this game. I think that'd be a real statement of intent, even though the 49ers have got injuries, still going on the road out West Coast in the NFC. So, yeah, I'd love to see Jacksonville win this game, but I'll go Niners on the spread.
Well, the Bengals had a lot of injuries and they couldn't win that, so it would be a difference to what we've seen in the past if they do come in. On to the two big games then. One of these games I did not think before the season was going to be big, but we got to start with the biggest game in the window. Although these two teams have underwhelmed, I guess, to start the season. The Ravens at Chiefs. It's happening. 2 weeks in a row, 2 home games in a row for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' era. The Chiefs are not favoured. The Ravens are favoured by 3 points, which is disrespect to my team and disrespect to your team, because the Eagles weren't even favoured by 3 points. But apparently the Ravens are better than Eagles and better than the Chiefs, according to the bookies. So yeah, that probably tells you where I'm going to go in about 4 minutes with the spread. But one of these two teams is going to be 1-3, mate. And it feels like 10 days ago, I'm obviously biased, Chiefs are the worst team in the NFL on offense. And the Ravens, unlucky to lose to the Bills. They look like they might be the best team. And now one of these two teams is going to be 1-3. It feels like two different trajectories for the same season in a weird way so far.
Yeah, very odd. I think the media loving of obviously the Ravens has perhaps gone a little bit too far. You can't sit at 1 and 2, can you, and be the best team? I've seen some ridiculous power rankings yesterday that had the Ravens like number 2 in there, and I just think it's very, very interesting kind of like path that's taken. -3, I'm very, very surprised about, to be honest with you. We obviously watched the game in real time, didn't we, against Detroit? And it felt like Detroit was just an all-round better football team, to be honest with you, kind of all the way through on offense and defense. Yeah, Henry looks worrying. I'd be worried. Obviously, he has one of the lowest fumble rates in NFL history, but taking that away in recent history, big fumbles in the fourth quarter, emotional play from him as well on the sidelines that we've seen. That would worry me, and also speaks to maybe the pressure that they're perhaps feeling, both him and Lamar, to bring a ring or even a Super Bowl or even an AFC Championship appearance to kind of the city. So, yeah, it's a really interesting setup, considering the Chiefs, who have looked bad at times, you have to say, they have looked bad at times, could be ahead of them in the AFC standings after Sunday.
Yeah, I think the Henry thing is worrying, but then there's also, he's knocking out these big runs and he scores those massive touchdowns. But to me, I heard a good pod today from Sheil Kapadia, the Ringer, about it. I think where Detroit won the game was on both trenches. They dominated the game, which is Detroit's thing, obviously. But that is normally the Ravens' thing. Like, normally the Ravens don't have the best skill position players in the world. Their corners were good a couple of years ago, but they were a bit old last year. But they always win up front on both sides of the ball, especially in the run game. And it just felt like last week that wasn't the case. And I think if you're getting, I think they had 6 carries in last week's game where Henry got 2 or less yards. That doesn't feel like the Ravens, and it probably isn't Derrick Henry's fault. Do you know what I mean? He looked electric on that big run. So yeah, I'd be a little bit worried, like you said. There's that fumble element, but there's also the offensive line element, and I think, yeah, if you can't overpower the Chiefs' defensive line, I think you're going to struggle to overpower any of the good teams. There's not many good teams that are going to have a weaker defensive line than the Chiefs will. So I think that is a bit of a worry if you're a Ravens fan. But the offense, isn't to blame. The defense is really, they look vulnerable at all times. The defensive lines didn't sack Goff once, which is the first time I think in 10 games he hasn't been sacked that I read, including the playoffs. And then the corners, they're kind of rotating who's in. Maybe Jay Alexander comes back this week, maybe he doesn't. But the offense has some small issues. But from watching that game and watching the Bills game, I'm not sure the defense is going to be able to stop many good teams.
I mean, going back to what you just said then about Detroit won both trenches, totally agree with you. When was the last time we had a Super Bowl champion that didn't dominate in the trenches? Even the Rams did when they had a good offensive line with Whitworth and that. They had Aaron Donald on defense. There hasn't been a Super Bowl champion this decade that hasn't dominated in the trenches, and if you're looking this bad, I know Madubuike is out at the moment, but you're getting dominated like that. It doesn't speak as you are the best team in the NFL, does it? With the way that the NFL works, it works up front, right? It's why teams draft those players so high. But it's really interesting for Baltimore. I think that this game is bigger for Baltimore than it is Kansas City, to be honest with you. I do feel that in the way that
I don't.
Kansas City, but I mean, it's beyond proven. It doesn't matter now if they don't win another Super Bowl. That was set. It's all set. It's all won. Baltimore have never been there. When was the last time Baltimore won a huge game with Lamar, with kind of Henry? They haven't. So it's like, for me, it just feels huge. Even though it's week 4, and this doesn't win you the Super Bowl, it doesn't get you to the AFC title game. However, it's just the feeling around the whole franchise, right?
Yeah, and weirdly about this game as well, the total was like 49.5, nearly 50 points. It's like, I don't think people watch the Chiefs and think they're going to score 20-odd points. But it just feels like maybe they're rating the defense of the Ravens so low now. They're like, well, I think, the Chiefs are going to score mid-20s and the Ravens will probably score mid-20s. But yeah, you're right. I get what you mean. I think the Ravens maybe have a more easy paths to make the playoffs if you look at their schedule. So I think it's probably bigger from the Chiefs in that perspective. I also think the narrative around it, if the Chiefs lose, will be like, this is the team we said they were. Whereas if the Ravens lose, I think a lot of people are going to have to come to the table and be like, okay, 2 weeks ago we said they were the best team who lost a fluky game to the Bills, and now they're 1-3. So yeah, maybe you're right in that regard, but yeah, it feels like as well, Lamar probably needs to have a mistake-free game, and Henry, against this team in particular. If you look at the history of those games, Derrick Henry fumbled in the playoff game against the Chiefs. He's fumbled obviously the last 3 games he's played. Lamar tends to always have those big turnovers against Spagnuolo just because he blitzes you like crazy. And that's what the Lions did last week. They just blitzed him like crazy. The Chiefs are not going to be able to get pressure without blitzing him. I think it puts the game in an interesting position, but we'll see. If the Chiefs can't score points on this team, then Twitter will be a great place for me on Sunday night, even if they win at midnight. But we'll see. Xavier Worthy looks like he will play, and we'll see if that makes a difference. Maybe Isaiah Pacheco won't run backwards on a route. We'll see. I think it's you to go first. I've timed this beautifully. I didn't deliberately do that, but I get you. You can go first.
No, I'm going to go Kansas City +3. I think it'll be very close, whatever happens. Not sure who's going to win the game, to be honest, but in this, I'd just give me the points.
Yeah, I'll go for Chiefs +3 as well, because I don't want to lose a point to you on my own team's game, basically. I could just pick against the Chiefs, and then I've got a double hedge there. But yeah, I don't know why. I just feel like I always said this to everyone last season on the Full 10 Yards pod, and they couldn't believe it. But I was like, I would play Lamar over Josh Allen 10 times out of 10 if I'm the Chiefs. I don't want to play Josh Allen. I think Lamar gives me those 1 or 2 chances where I can make him make a mistake, and we'll see if he makes any mistakes on Sunday. I don't know whose game this is. It's got to be a Romo game, surely. Come on, are we getting Romo back?
Yeah, I'm not sure. The timing for me says it's Fox, right? And Tom Brady is, but I'm not sure.
Oh, actually, it might be on here. No, it is CBS.
Yeah,
it is CBS. Fox. Tom Brady's probably on the early game. I think Tom Brady looks like he's Eagles Bucks.
Yeah.
So yeah, I get Tony Romo gushing over my quarterback, which is always a fun place to be. On to the other game at 9 p.m. that I didn't think would be as good as it probably is now. Is Colts at Rams. The Colts obviously had an incredible start to the season, but they are still underdogs on the road. The Rams are favored by 3.5 points. I listened to, like I said earlier, that pod today from The Ringer, and they both had the same conclusion that the Rams and Eagles both leave that game feeling better about themselves. The Eagles know they can pass it when they need to pass it, and the Rams know they can run it when they need to run it, and maybe the head coach cost them the game with too many field goal attempts down the stretch. But the Colts won again, and I think they'll be in a really strong position. I feel like this game could be a bit of a shootout and could be an exciting game on Sunday. It's kind of a shame it's not in the early window, to be honest.
Yeah, it is. It's just a shame it's in LA. If you could swap it round to Indy, I'm sure it would be. But looking at, I've just got the Colts schedule up. Mate, it's a free hit. I would go there and guns are blazing with my offense. Jonathan Taylor, by the way, he has looked incredible through 3 weeks. But after the Rams game, they go Raiders, Cardinals, Chargers, Titans, Steelers, Falcons. This is a free hit against probably what everyone thinks is a better football team. It's not the end of the world if you go in there and lose. I wouldn't change our philosophy if I was in the Colts organization at all. I would go there with Daniel Jones and play the way that they've been playing and getting all the weapons involved. So the Colts are looking good. You look at that schedule, unless Daniel Jones falls off, but it doesn't look like it's going to happen, they should be in good stead. So I think this is a fun game. The Colts win this, then that for me is a stamp of authority.
Yeah, and if the other AFC South teams struggle, they could you don't actually win the division after 4 weeks, but you make it nigh on impossible for the other teams to catch you up unless you collapse if they keep winning games. And you're right, I think if they beat a team like the Rams, people are going to be talking about them even more kind of glowingly than they already have. So yeah, I think you're right with that. I think both teams' run games are going to be super important. The Rams looked really good last week, and they could run it. If you go back to the Texans game when they didn't look very good, they couldn't run the ball. Feels like Stafford and McVay's offense gets going when they can do both and they can keep people guessing. And the Colts, like you mentioned, Jonathan Taylor's probably been the best back in the league through 3 weeks. And
for sure.
And the him and Jones option game looks really good. So I think this game could be won or lost on the ground and who makes those big plays. And the usual thing of turnovers, right? Daniel Jones hasn't done it this season, but historically he has. Matt Stafford, makes incredible plays, but always has that one big turnover. I think he started the game last week with a turnover on the first drive. So it feels like for me, run game and turnovers are going to be pretty important for this game. But yeah, it should be a fun one. I get the joy of going first here. So it's Rams -3.5. Wish it was 3. I am going to go 3.5 though. I tend to, unfortunately, pick the Chiefs and the Rams most weeks. But I do feel like the Colts are a good team. I underrated them. The defense is better than I thought. The run game is better than I thought. Maybe Shane Steichen is going back to some of his old ways positively as a play caller. I think the Rams might be the best or second best team in the NFC. So I'll go for them while Stafford's healthy.
Yeah, I'll go the Rams as well. Like I said, it's a free hit, and I think in 4 weeks' time we're going to be looking at an excellent record for the Colts. But I'll go the Rams on this. Wouldn't shock me if they went in there and won. By the way,
no, agreed. On to Sunday Night Football then, where the Micah Parsons derby. Packers at Cowboys. This viewing figures are going to be mental, and there's be so many Micah Parsons setups by the TV company for this one. NBC are going to be all over it when it comes to videos and interviews with Micah. The Packers are favored on the road by 6.5 points, which is a big spread. Cowboys didn't look good last week. CeeDee Lamb is hurt and is out. George Pickens is smashing helmets. I'm not going to pick on him too much yet, but for anyone that hates George Pickens, that they're going to be talking about that already. Dak had his first bad game, and the defense might be the worst in the NFL if you look at the points they're giving up. So it doesn't really say a lot positive things for the Cowboys, mate. But the Packers themselves didn't look great last week. So where do you sit in terms of what this game will look like? Because I do imagine Michael Parsons will want to make a pretty big impact on it.
Yeah, he's bought his suite out. Did you see that? He's still got his suite out this year in Cowboys Stadium. There's no refunds, so he's kind of pile everyone in there still. So I think his mum's actually a Cowboys fan, I saw, so she'll be all right. For me, this week and Cowboys Chiefs at Thanksgiving is their 2 Super Bowl games this season, because all eyes is going to be on Dallas. And after this, I don't think it's going to be that case this season. Bit of a shame for Dak, who's looked pretty good, but I think the record is not going to be overall very good. They don't look, they got the doors blown off by Chicago. So what can you say about that, really, is after what we think we know about Chicago after a few weeks. So Green Bay are going to want to put up a better offensive performance this week and get back to what we thought we were seeing in weeks 1 and 2. So I think Packers put some points up in this game, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me too. And I think the CD loss will be big for them. They've ran the ball quite well.
Huge.
Yeah, they've ran the ball quite well, but I think without CD, you're the Packers, you're there like, let's stop the run, make him throw it to backup wide receivers and Pickens and stuff. So I think, yeah, all those two things combined, I don't think lead to a very good Cowboys offense. Like Dak will have to be pretty perfect in this game. And even if he is, the defense could still give up 30 points.
Yeah.
So yeah, probably tells you where we're both going for this game. But yeah, I hope it's a fun game. I'm going to get up and watch this on Monday. But yeah, before the season, as soon as the trade was made, this game looked incredible. But I think with the way the Cowboys defense has been worse than maybe I thought, and CD's now hurt, I don't think that looks good for them. It's you to go first, though, on the spread. So Packers minus 6.5.
I'll go Green Bay, I think, yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. Still, like I said, I still can't go back after one bad week. Still think they look like the best team in the NFL, probably the NFC, through 2 weeks, and I think they'll get back to winning ways in this game. On to Monday Night Football then, a lovely doubleheader that kick off an hour apart that I will not be staying up for, and we're not going to spend loads of time on them. They're just pick the spread type games. So we've got Jets at Dolphins. It takes a lot, but the Dolphins are actually favoured again at home by 2.5 points. Fields may be back. He is not practiced in full yet, and he needs to practice in full with his concussion. But he's got an extra day, obviously, with Monday Night Football. So he should be back. Worst case, Tyrod did a pretty good impression of him in the second half last week. Could be a win needed here to save McDaniel's job, though, mates. What do you think?
I'd love Aaron Glenn to get a win here, by the way. After that strut he did against Tampa Bay, he deserves it. But I did see something earlier. I'm not sure if you've seen this. There was like someone, I can't remember who it was, had put up like a chart of all the defensive rates in the NFL, and the Dolphins are number 1 for blitz percentage, amount of times that they blitz, and they are also 32nd in pressure rate. So it doesn't matter what they do, nothing gets pressure. So for me, I would love it to be Justin Fields. I think if he played like he did against the Steelers in week 1, with those pressure rates from Miami, they could go in there and win this game. Tyrod, obviously, is a long-term backup in the NFL, isn't he? And he's won plenty of games in the NFL. I'm really tempted to say that Miami, that New York are going to win this game, but I'm not sure. But it's you to go first anyway.
I'm trying to think what I'd even... obviously want the Jets to win, similar to you. I'm going to go Dolphins minus 2.5. With the impression that Tyrod's going to play. If Justin Fields was definitely going to play, I'd pick the Jets plus 2.5. But I'll go Dolphins minus 2.5. McDaniel stays employed for another couple of weeks.
Yeah, I'm going to join you. Although I did say to you, I think it was yesterday or the day before, that he is already a fired man. Yeah. I believe that genuinely, and they are waiting for the perfect time to fire him. This team's not going to rattle off 10 in a row. That would clearly save your job. They're not going to do that. So, but yeah, I'm going to have to go Miami because I don't love what I've seen from the Jets so far. But I'd love Aaron Glenn. He's got to get a win soon.
Yeah, agreed. He did himself dirty last week celebrating too early, but we need him to.
I know. Don't do it.
He's a good personality as well. And they played quite well in that game towards the end as well. So yeah. We'll both pick Dolphins, but we both want the Jets to win that game. On to our second Monday night game then. Bengals at the Broncos. Again, this one looked good before quarterback injury hit. Broncos are favored at home by 7.5 points. A good number, but the Bengals did look pretty horrific last week. The Bengals looked pretty good the week before. The Broncos defense is kind of a league average, even though everyone thinks it should and will be the best. I think that will probably improve. I think Pat Surtain is like 40th in the NFL in success rate, which is quite good normally to be like 38th, 40th for a corner, but not when he was number 1 with a bullet last year. So he's having some struggles, and then Bo Nix is also having some struggles. So yeah, this game is quite interesting, mate, but it's a big spread, but the Bengals just look unbackable after last week, potentially.
Yeah, they do. So many takeaways and just sloppy play, and the defense just looked so soft when it was on the field. Worrying signs. I know it's kind of demoralizing losing your star player again, where you feel like all your hopes are hinged on that. But they only kind of, pick up 4 wins, and if he does come back when we come back, you're probably in with a shout again of the playoffs late in the season. But yeah, this is a terrible Monday Night Football, isn't it? By the way, absolutely awful, because How can you get up for? I mean, I will watch anything, but how can you get up for watching Browning after that performance last week?
Yeah, I don't know. Some people say there's a bit of luck there for the turnovers as well, but it still doesn't give you any confidence, does it? That they can be any better in this game. So yeah, this is a pretty tough spread and game to pick, to be honest. But I'll go Broncos -7.5. I think for this one.
Give me the Bengals, just to be different at the end. I don't think that. I mean, they could have. Denver, by the way, would obviously need a win anyway, ignoring the spread. But I think Denver would like a big performance this week.
Yeah, their defense should be able to feast as well on Browning. But again, obviously, it's two good wide receivers. But yeah, we'll see. Let's hope the week doesn't come down to that game for me. But we'll find out on Tuesday morning, probably as of next week. And that's it for our week 4 games. We've got only 4 differences, I think. Let me check. Yeah, 4 differences. So we've got 2 in the early slate, 1 in the 9 p.m. window, and then 1 Monday Night Football. So I've gone for Vikings -2.5. You've gone for Steelers +2.5 in Dublin. I've gone for Bucks +3.5. You've gone for Eagles -3.5 in Tampa Bay, very warm Tampa Bay. On Sunday night, I've gone for the Jags +3.5. You've gone for the 49ers -3.5. And then to end the week on the doubleheader, I've gone for the Broncos -7.5, and you've gone for the Bengals +7.5. And if you win all those, you will take the lead, mate. So you need a big week 4 from you coming up.
This is also the last week before the bye weeks kick in as well. The last full slate for 10 weeks.
Yeah, so this is the point where it's easy for me doing the sheet because I know how many games I've got to hit. It'll be next week when I'm like, all right, how many teams are missing? But yeah, enjoy a full game, just full slate of games while we can, but double Monday night feels unnecessary. But it's not the only one either. I think there's more.
I believe week 6 or 7 has a double Monday Night Football as well. It does. We got Falcons, Bills, and Commanders, Bears. Which is it better? Not sure.
Probably is slightly better, but it's not. No one would describe that as compelling. I don't think. That's Monday Night Football for you. Troy got a good game this week, so he can't have it all. Right, cool. That's it for our week 4 preview. Like I mentioned at the start of the show, only one episode next week, which will be next Friday, where we do a week 5 preview. And if there's any big stories, like there was this week with the Russ story, we'll mention that at the start of the episode. But otherwise, it will be just a week 5 preview. And then after that, we'll get back to our 2 episodes a week of breaking down the NFL from a review and a preview perspective. So you can go follow us at Go42Pod. You can follow Patrick as well at MugsNFL. As he's mentioned earlier, he spent a large amount on sport-related gear. So if anyone wants to buy things to reimburse him, I'm sure a nice Daniel Jones hoodie couldn't go amiss if they beat the Rams in week 4. But we'll see. Thanks everyone for listening. Enjoy the weekend, and we will speak to you soon.
Yeah, speak to you soon, everyone.